Life can be incredibly difficult. And for some people, those struggles lead to bitterness. But for others, something else happens. They forge this incredible, quiet power, a type of strength that's built in moments that no one else ever gets to see. So, what's the deal with that? Why is it that some people seem to come out of really tough times not just okay, but stronger? It's not just luck, and it's not just about having a tough personality. Psychology actually has a really fascinating explanation for how this works. And here's the absolute key to understanding it. These strengths, this power, they aren't developed out in the open with everyone watching. They're built privately. They are forged in the quiet moments of struggle that you probably never even talk about. But those are the very moments that made you who you are. So let's start with the first superpower that this creates. It's like learning to see the world in a completely different way. People who've been through a lot learn to perceive everything around them with this startling new clarity. Think about it like this. Most people they listen to the words someone is saying. But if you've had to navigate tricky situations, you learn that the real conversation is happening underneath all of that. Your instincts become this finely tuned instrument, and you get really, really good at sensing what people actually mean. Well, there's a name for this: hyper-awareness. And it starts out as a survival skill, right? You had to get good at reading the room just to protect yourself. But over time, what started as a defense mechanism becomes a permanent strength. It's like having a built-in radar for what's really going on. And here's what that looks like in the real world. It's not some vague, mystical thing. It's the ability to get a read on someone fast. It's knowing deep in your gut when someone's not telling the truth or is just putting on an act. It's that feeling you get when something just feels off, long before there's any actual proof. Okay, so that's how you see the world differently. Now let's talk about what happens on the inside. We're talking about building an inner fortress, something that creates this incredible, unshakable core. Now, this is something people get wrong all the time. They might see you stay calm during a crisis and think you're cold or emotionless. But that's not it at all. The truth is, you've just been tested by fires they can't even imagine. So what feels like a 5-alarm fire to them doesn't trigger that same panic in you. In psychology, this is called stress inoculation. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like a vaccine for stress. Because your brain has been exposed to that pressure before, it's adapted. It's learned not to just flood your system with panic. It is a real biological advantage that you earn. Now this is a total game changer. So many people spend their whole lives building their sense of self-worth on what other people think of them. But when you've been through hell and had to rely only on yourself, you learn a truth that is so fundamental. Your survival has absolutely nothing to do with anyone else's approval. And you can just see the difference so clearly here. On one side, you've got a life that depends on getting approval from others, which can be taken away at any second. But on the other side, you have an internal locus of control. Your worth comes from inside you. You stand on your own. And that, right there, is a kind of freedom that is incredibly rare. It's a simple idea, but it's everything, isn't it? Real, true mental toughness. It isn't something you can learn when everything is easy. It has to be forged. It's earned, piece by piece, right in the middle of the fight. And this brings us to this really powerful idea in psychology called post-traumatic growth. And that word growth is the whole point. It completely reframes the story. It means that these challenges aren't just something you get through. They can become the very things that make you stronger, more capable, and more insightful. And, it's a process. It's not like a switch just flips one day. First, you just do whatever it takes to get through it. You survive. Then you start to figure out how to operate in this new reality. You adapt. And then finally, you start to rebuild. You build a new version of yourself, not on the ruins of the past, but with the new materials the struggle gave you. Okay, so let's talk about the final piece of this puzzle, and it might be the most misunderstood strength of all: mastering your emotions. This is such a critical point. People see that calm exterior and they just assume you don't feel things anymore, that you're numb. But that's so wrong. If anything, you feel things even more deeply. The difference is you've learned not to let those emotions take over the driver's seat. You've learned to manage them. This skill is called emotional regulation, and it is a massive sign of mental maturity. It's the ability to feel the anger or the sadness or the fear,
but to choose how you respond instead of just letting it explode. It's a level of self-control that, frankly, most people never have to learn.
And what this creates is this really unique and powerful combination. Because you've been through it, you have this deep, genuine empathy for other people's pain. You get it. But you've also learned how to put up boundaries to protect yourself. It's this beautiful balance of having an open heart, but also a well-defended one.
So let's pull all this together. It's time to completely change the story you might be telling yourself. This isn't about what was broken or what you lost. It's about what you built.
So just look at this. These aren't just personality quirks. These are real, tangible skills you've developed. The ability to stay calm when everything is falling apart, that deep intuition that guides you, and an inner endurance that just keeps you going. These are your strengths.
If any of this has felt familiar to you, I really want you to let this sink in. You are not weak because of what you've been through. In fact, it is the very source of your power.
And you are definitely not broken. People say the cracks are where the light gets in. Well, in your case, those are the exact places where your strength was forged. What you have is special. It's rare. This quiet strength, this deep resilience, this ability to see the world so clearly. These are powers that you earned in the dark when no one was watching, and they belong to you.
So I'll just leave you with this one question. Knowing this, understanding where this all comes from, being able to put a name to it, hyperawareness, stress inoculation, post-traumatic growth. Now that you can see it for what it is, a power, the only question left is, what are you going to do with it?